So generally when people ask me what I write about, I say bodies, but I was putting the pieces for tonight together and I realized I also write a lot about food. So we'll start with a poem about food. But really, it's a poem about commodity fetish. Season of fruit, red regardless of the month. Season of maximum 10 cans per customer, and my arms do not feel full. Season of 32 chickens, crisp skin still warm behind glass after 5 p.m. I counted them just so I could tell you how many they were. Season of half-price sushi, deli meat, lemons with blistered peel piled up on a plastic tray. Season of holding up a box of strawberries to the chiller's white light, looking for water, bruises, rot, waiting to hear myself think, I could save you. Season of going home to triage the produce, to drown the caterpillars the pesticide didn't kill, to peel away brown spots, leaves yellow with thirst, cutting out seeds growing from the core of their host. Season of rolling the white sprouts between my fingers while I look up vivipary in the dictionary, biting on the tip of a shoot and deciding it is too sharp, too bitter in the mouth. Season of chopping baby carrots, smooth and perfectly formed, washed clean so I forget they were ever buried. Season of the knife slipping, the weight of my hand pressing the blade into my own finger. Season of the kitchen towel, as orange with carrot juice as red with blood. Season of gravy granule, chicken cube, mushrooms still in the darkness of a tin that tells me to dispose of all contents uneaten after 3 days, but I do not. Season of while stocks last with no end in sight. So that was a food poem. I thought I should follow that up with a poem about bodies, just in case. So this poem is called Glass Vase Cello Case, and it's titled after a song by Tattletale, which appears on the soundtrack of the movie But I'm a Cheerleader, which is a very good movie. It's probably older than some of the people in this room. It's very good. There are lesbians. I cannot whistle over the rim of a bottle, which is why I play the drums and not the flute. I have never had a dream in which my body is made of melting sand, but maybe I should start. I dream in ooze and rot and acid, girl meat turned boy meat turned wound. Fill me with star and paper, or spit and ash, or flour and more dust. I don't really care what. I told you I like being filled up, like it when you hit me. It's the fear of not being able to handle it, the relief of discovering I can. Take it, I mean. Nothing so exquisite as raised fist and knowing I'm worth the effort of impact. The winter I turned 13, I thought I was a lesbian. So I listened to Tegan and Sarah and sat through every episode of The L Word, just to be safe. Cultural immersion is important. I can't hold my breath in water, can't stand the feeling of liquid on my eyes. I've watched But I'm a Cheerleader with every romantic partner I've had, lying in bed, holding hands. I've watched it at least 10 times. It feels like coming home, but good. I could have been a good lesbian. I've read The Sappho, translated by Carson, 2003, but the violets died in my lap. There's no space for cellos in the percussion woodwind binary, and frankly, there's nothing a cello can do that a bass and a viola can't. But bassi and viole aren't as sexy as sobs. What's so good about sounding human? I've held hands with enough humans to know it's nothing new. Queer curation is queer creation, I say, about to watch the same movie for the 15th time. This is barely a joke. Do you ever read so hard into a text it feels like you're the one writing it? So to follow up on that, I have an optimistic poem about trying to date people. So this is based on the format of personal ads. It is called, I Think I Made Us Up. Me, lazily dripping wax remains of a beehive that supported so much life before the exterminators came in, swathed in PPE before the shortage. You, a honey badger who has learned how to climb trees, who leaves nothing behind. Me, a citational gesture towards a book that still hasn't been published in France because no one is ready to translate it yet or deal with the consequences of admitting that they don't know what it means in English either. You, an abject fetishist. Me, the minor to mediocre I am. You, a lapsed believer looking for something new to internalize. Me, correction fluid and puddles over printer paper, separated such that my every mistake is hyper-visible, that the things I wanted to say are blurs. You, a context-insensitive answer key. Me, the sign preceding the signified, self-fictionalized for the sake of advertisement. You, a glittering generality. Every time I've started reading a poem, I think, oh my goodness, I forgot to give the content warnings at the beginning, and then I finish the poem, and then I forget again, but here they are. There are poems here about food, injury, gender, and Christianity, also sex. So, the next poem is called Seed, and it is for Chikako Yamashiro's Mudman. Some seed fell into rich soil, others fell on sunburnt shoulders. Will you spill your seed on my shoulder if I ask nicely? If I bury a seed, if I bury the lead, if I bury myself, what will grow? What is there to show for this terroir but seed? What is there to show for this terror but seed? Who has seen enough of the terror to know what the terroir has yet to show? If this is still my war, then I think it's terribly unfair that I'm still the only one in uniform. Will you paint my eyelids with sleep when we've all run out of seeds? Your balancing point against my pressure points gave me a terrible headache, so why am I still singing? If you swallowed my seed because I asked, if I swallowed your seed before you asked, which of us will come out of it smelling like roses, and just who will be singing? Some seed fell off a cliff and into the boundless ocean where no one sings anymore, so why do I keep diving in? If I'm drowning in song and you're drowning in poems, should I still be writing this from beneath sea foam? Some seed fell from the sky, then climbed its way back. I don't think my hands know how to grasp anymore. Why is there nothing but air at my back? If I can't take flight because my wings took flight without the proper precautions, then when will they grow back? Some seed fell on me. I don't think it was yours. I think I'm growing into something new. Do I have any choice but to sing? If I can't stop singing, if I can't stop sinking, if there is seed in the sky and the sea and the soil, what does that make of the seed growing in me? So just now I had the optimistic poem about dating implicitly on the internet. Now we get the pessimistic one. This one is called For My Egg Self, Aged 14. On the internet, I am 21, just cresting a decade I am sure I will never reach. My name is Noel, or sometimes Sam, and I don't understand why men on Omegle think I'm a boy, misplace me again along the axes of age, sex, location, strangers To these selves I offer at the altar of gender neutrality, I am not non-binary, I am just pretending to be a girl. In real life, I am still pretending to be a girl, but this time I am bad at it. The knee socks did their best, but my body is still here. I pour B cups for textual spectators, leave out the band size because my hands shake when I try to hold the tape around my ribs. They say to measure twice and cut once, to disconnect when you know there's nothing left to say. I would be a better girl if all it took was scissoring my hard edges soft, taping my mistakes in place when the blade slips too far. Thank you, and thank you for your patience. All right, so continuing in the vein of gloriously misspent youth, the next poem was written for the movie Jennifer's Body, which is hopefully not older than any of you, and also for Anne Carson's book, Eros the Bittersweet, which was incidentally her PhD thesis, which she published, which became like a subplot in the first few episodes of the L Word. So like you really know you've made it as an academic when your PhD thesis ends up in the L Word. Hell is not a teenage girl, nor is it two, nor is it you or me. It is a triangle collapsing, a body at its center, still smiling, still moving, still kissing and killing. Hell is not a teenage girl, but lying next to her in the dark with no one between us. Is knowing I could hold her hand, could push her down and hold her, is necessary space between her lips and my lips. On an atomic level, we have never touched. I am learning there are no demons in hell, only bodies with no reason to stay separate, beginning in one bed and ending in another. I could kiss her, if only it wasn't me, if I only had hell to pay. I told you that I have been writing many poems about food. I feel like I should follow up on that now. I did not realize this was going to happen, and it's very exciting that it does. The next poem, it begins with an epigraph from an art piece by Pooja. So this piece is called Homing, and the epigraph is, "Where are the dead birds?" The art piece was called Coping Mechanisms. It was beautiful. It asked questions. 1. At the soft pop of impact, I turn my head, see a black bundle crumbling down along the road, Mina turning under wheel, under wheel, under wheel, food as metaphor for food, cranberry skin splitting in the saucepan, coulis poured thin over tarmac, the softest feathers catch, white and fleeting in the wind, bones too heavy to fly, another bird bends its living neck down, its yellow beak touches so neatly a spot of red, glowing muted along the road, the evening rolling on. 2. Once we went to the swing set after dark, our bodies moving separate against still air. My parents couldn't hear, so he talked about boys until the intermittent chirp was louder than breeze, then his voice over the creaking arcs of metal and plastic, our shoes brushing rubbery ground until we got up and walked to watch the sparrow shifting on the tile, the accordion heave of its contractions shrill against the pavilion's roof, where I once planted basil entirely by accident, plant gone purple with seed, off a 7th floor balcony to sun-warmed soil overhead, island gathered in the gutter, in full view only from above. I saw the stalks, trusted them to stay. 3. I ask what causes bird and building to come together such that only one body survives. I'm told it is a question of height and light and glass, habitats attractive until met at speed. I approach milling pigeons slowly, as little a threat as I know how to be. I love their oil spill colors from afar, mixed in with the cream and dried blood coats of city doves. My grandmother knew the best places to get pigeon, feathered, minced, and fried. I cook in her kitchen, move her mortar with both hands. I never learned to gut. Queuing for lunch, I am too tired to make. I look upon oily dimples pitting roasted flesh. With every thud of cleaver to cutting block, all the resonance of dense wood, I grow closer to believing that I will someday walk away, mine no more to swelter, to ache in my joints, awaiting the passage of blade into bone. The next poem is also about meat. It is called An Endless Iteration, and this time the epigraph is from a poem called Cape Hatteras by Hart Crane, and it reads, Adam and Adam's Answer in the Forest. Always a rib, feminine or iridescent, treated as if empty-handed, trusted with the wound of a body in delay, weighed down too long, all is to be born. The best meat is still raw, still stirring. Stirring or raw, it is best to be born over time as if heavy of late, cut through by trust with nothing to show in retreat. Iridescent, feminine, but always a rib. Always a rib, stirring, feminine or raw or iridescent, it is best treated as if to be born empty-handed over time, trusted as if heavy with the wound of late, of a body in delay, cut through, weighed down by trust, too long with nothing to show. All is to be born in retreat. The best meat is iridescent, still raw, still feminine, stirring, but always a rib. I have one more to close with. It is a longer poem, and because it is a longer poem, it has also a longer title. The poem is entitled, Why Are You Still Lying at the Weighing of the Heart? 1. The unclarity of water, the slow tremble of color through that medium, spreading underground from what is buried and knows it, the project of wiring a partial skeleton to any fixed form, the solder of impurity in a body with no breakers, the swirling descent of a beetle who trades her green wings for death, the solvent of suggested answer. By die in water, did you mean to drown? The bargainer's sign reading, order only what you can finish. The light strobing at the right speed, or so they hope. The phone ringing hematoma. Hands shaking through a controlled pour. Incomplete. The desire path bisecting cemetery and statuary. 2. Boy as state of hunger. Not boy as state of meat. 3. I want to strip the body of its materiality, this tunnel I cannot see my way through. I mean, this body, this figure absent from the figuration of my life. I mean, this shape that escapes the lens lest I lose momentum in my skimming stone self. I mean, my meat and blood and bone. To be grounded is the wrong kind of sentence. I am riddled with loss, every experience filtered through a body that I have or a body I do not, at least one of two kinds of wound, corpus and still haunted corpse. 4. See me now, no more sex for me. I want to be unsexed, want to breathe again. Give me green pastures shining in negative. Paint me red, Daddy. I want it all to end in a tree, rotten solid with stars, or I meant scars. Nothing finishes when you mean it to. Unroot me, God, or some other holy other. I am singing this song alone. 5. I opened a box, searched for not available and other locations. The oldest question I knew. How fruit grows, drinking interference of air. They stripped the road in layers, 10,000 leaves cleaner than ragged nails can peel. I hear more clearly when the light is on. It was red meat underneath, or I was hungry.